Alright everyone, happy Sunday and welcome back again to more Misericorde Volume 2, White Wool and Snow. As the ending slowly approaches, guys, I gotta say, the tension also continues to rise. And right now we have Hedwig bonding with the sisters along with everyone else, kind of, I guess, mending some invisible fences, if you will, and there's still some underlying currents going on that are about to unfold slowly but surely as we continue, and I gotta say, I'm enjoying the ride. So, with that said, I hope you all continue to enjoy. Thank you again for your love and support. And let's see what happens next. I tried my best to have fun. Everyone was in a rather jolly mood. Even Angela had been invited and seemed grateful to be a part of the festivities. Darcy had brought a hamper of dry goods from the pantry, and Adela had carried several wineskins in a small sack all the way up the hill. Eustace left my side to stand with Darcy for a while. The two embraced and were soon seated on the slope of the hill, looking out over the distant village and chatting animatedly. "Sister Hedwig, would you care for a drink?" "Oh, why not?" She passed me the last wineskin she had been carrying. The rest have been distributed amongst the others. "I'm afraid I don't have a cup." "Nobody does. Just take a sip." "Oh, I put my lips to the stopper and did my best to angle the container to get the liquid pouring, but I let it flow much too fast. I still had wine running out of the sides of my mouth." "Slow down. Say some for everybody." She laughed and brushed the sides of my mouth with her thumbs. "Unless you would like someone to lap it off you." Ouch! Revenge is sweeter than any wine. That is only fair, I suppose. Indeed. Indeed. May I have a sip of that wine? Really? Of course. You most certainly can. I apologize, I just don't remember the last time I was any fun. You said it, Sister Angela, not I. With a sheepish grin, Adela indicated for me to pass the skin to Angela. Angela took a smaller, more practiced swig than I had, and then passed the container to Adela. I don't know what's come over me, truth be told. Perhaps it's the snow. She looked at me as she said this. I flushed red and turned to glance at some of the others. The younger set were piling snow onto Flora, who was shouting curses and squirming in her wheelbarrow. Cherry and Marta were taking a stroll through the snow, occasionally looking back toward us and waving at someone or other. Eustace and Darcy had spread out over the traveling cloaks and were laying down together, chattering away. Margaret and Catherine were standing together, taking hefty sips out of the wineskin and speaking in hushed tones. When she saw me looking their way, Margaret smiled weakly. I could only assume they were repairing things after their little spat. "Sister Angela, what a pleasant surprise." "Indeed. It has been a while since I imbibed. I think I remember the last time. You read poetry to us in the Misericorde, I think. I will have to take your word for it. This must have been before my time. I would have given anything to see that. Would you ever consider giving a repeat performance?" "No. I don't think so." "Ah, but I remember it being rather good. I think it made me blush. Really now." She reached for the wineskin and yanked it away from Adela, somewhat forcefully, and took a heartier swig. "Isn't the view lovely?" "It's a little dizzying." I was gonna say dazzling. I mean, I think it would have made the same difference, I guess. From here, I could see not only the village of Limbarrow, but the road leading away from it into the mist. I wondered how far it was to London or even another country. It was hard to fathom distance after a life like mine. The little thatched buildings down the hill might as well have been a different celestial body to me. The village looked so dainty from up here, like a little model I could pick up and play with. Like the sort of thing a tactician might place on a board. Certainly. I remember what Darcy had told me about the village. Had she broken the news to the others yet? I glanced over at her and Eustace. Eustace looked rather grave. Perhaps Darcy was filling her in now. I decided it was Darcy's business to share with the rest of us and refrained from prompting her. I looked down at the little huts and roads. I hoped, despite how horrible they had been to me, that God would spare them from disease and death. I was in a rather forgiving mood. You can see my old manse from here. Catherine and Margaret had wandered over to join our group. Angela tensed up but said nothing. Really? Yes. The large house nearest to the lake. It looks massive. Larger than our chapel, surely. Oh, it was quite grand. And we're quite rich, to be honest. I'm not sure who owns the place anymore. We had such a large staff maintaining the vineyards. I met the man once when I first came to the Abbey. Did I ever tell you that? Really? No, I did not. What was he like? He was polite. He was proud of the grapes. I'm afraid that I cannot recall his name. He was tall. I do remember that. He had a beard and... I care not. He can burn for all I care. The whole lot can. Easy. She reached out to her friend as she said this, squeezing her arm gently as she spoke. Catherine smiled and placed her hand in Margaret's in return. I saw Flora's painting, by the way. I winced. I could see Margaret squeeze Catherine's arm harder. Did you now? Indeed. She is a talented young woman, it would seem. I rather like it. I'm surprised. I seem to recall that Italian convent of yours leaving you with an exhaustingly refined sense of taste. I would never compare Flora to Tura, but she has skill far beyond what any of us could dream of. And perhaps I was drawn in by the subject matter. Odd, considering it looks nothing like me. How much have you had to drink? Enough to admit that I've been rather standoffish for a long time. That's one way of putting it. Drunk enough to admit fault, that's all well and good. How much more must you drink to apologize? Would you like an apology? I'm not sure we have the time for a proper one. The sun will be setting in, what, 4 or 5 hours? The two stared at each other in the face for a moment. Nobody said anything. Ooh. It's getting tense. Captain broke first, however. What's the use? I do enjoy a healthy amount of spite, but who has time for grudges? You and I have time for little else. However, I would vastly prefer to be part of this group than apart from it. This is really strange, Angela. What happened to you? Angela shot me a private glance. It seemed that all it had taken to soften Angela was the knowledge that the world was larger and darker than either of us could possibly know. Something good. Inquiring minds. Angela shook her head. Another day. I think I would prefer to simply enjoy returning into everyone's company for now. Have it your way. These women had some catching up to do, clearly. I excused myself and made my way toward Flora and her friends. Oh, hello, Hedwig. Hiya. Ahoy. What are you three chatting about? Nothing. Flowers. Inferno. They had clammed up rather awkwardly. Goodness. Quite a range of topics. Look, it was sort of private, that's all. But listen, I wanted to thank you for your art lessons and stuff. Oh, don't mention it. I hardly taught you anything. We drew cats once, and now look at you. I could never paint something like you did. Even just finishing the face is very impressive. Yeah, I don't know. I think I still owe you thanks for giving me the initial push. Well, you asked me to teach. Hedwig, do me a favor and take the fucking compliment, yeah? Of course. I apologize. What do you think you'll paint next? Flora gazed out over the hill into the distance. She looked apprehensive. Good question. Would love to do a whole scenes one day. Frescoes. I don't know. What's a fresco? It's a big painting on a wall. Or ceiling. Oh. What a lovely idea. There are so many big open spaces in the more Romanesque portions of the Abbey that would look lovely with some art on them. The three of them exchange awkward looks. Yeah. Anyway. You've got issues, but I guess I do too. I'd probably be just like you if I was twice my age and got stuck in a hole my entire life. So. Sorry if I was ever annoying, and thanks for the art stuff. Oh, and thanks for saving my life that one time. I could see Violet and Bridget's expressions turn exasperated the moment I opened my mouth. You're most welcome, Sister Flora. I'm proud to have made a difference, and I'm sorry for my own misapprehensions about you. I must have made your life miserable for a while. Yeah, well, like I said, you're a freak, but at the end of the day, I still think more fondly of you than most of the rest of them. I'm flattered. Flora grinned widely. Bridget, Violet, would you excuse us for just a moment? Aye, certainly. Flora looked quite serious. The Superior's window doesn't lock. What? Not saying it again. Explain some things, though, yeah? Anyway. What? Oi! Violet, come push me somewhere. Oh, that is interesting. She gave us a hint. Flora's friends wheeled her away, leaving me dumbfounded. I turned to find somewhere else in the crowd to stand and pass Darcy and Eustace on the way. I didn't want to interrupt them, but as I passed, Darcy held her hand out to graze mine. So many warm gestures were being given. So many relationships were mending. Was this a miracle? I noticed Moira waving me back over to the group I had left earlier and obliged her. Hedwig, have another drink. This one's running a bit low. Wouldn't want to deprive you. I gratefully took the wineskin she was offering me and took a more practiced sip. We had been catching up with Sister Angela. She still refused to regale us with her poetry, however. All things in time. Take as much time as you like for that particular affectation. I'm not sure I'm quite ready to hear you say petals over and over. You wrote poetry about flowers? Moira snickered. Wrote, read. We used to have quite a poetry circle going in the Misericorde. Didn't you ask Darcy to help you write a letter to Gwurfel once? Indeed. I had no idea who Gwurfel was, but from the tenor of the exchange I intuited that was intended as a teasing remark, the kind Angela might react poorly to. To my surprise, however, she seemed unbothered. Perhaps I've been too harsh about the poetry. I would love to plop Hedwig down for some readings and see how long she could stand it. Is this a bit like the joke Charity told in the Misericorde? I put together why that was funny eventually, I'll have you all know. Oh, good. Do explain. It was the one about taking the road less traveled, yes? Referring to intercourse between a man and a woman? Good lord, she is clever. Continue, Sister Hedwig. Well, the road less traveled down there would be, you know, the bumhole, yeah. Yes. I know that the initial punchline has to do with pregnancy, but also it follows that joke is also about the woman's husband being bad at sexual relations. Because having something put up that hole is, well, rather unpleasant. Is it? You're very close, Hedwig. Yes. What am I missing? Oh, nothing at all. Oi! We were interrupted by a shout from afar. Who wants to go sledging? Oh, that does sound fun. That sounds a bit dangerous. What with your leg? I'll be careful. Please? The whole congregation merged together in something of a circle. I think sledging is fun. Well, yes, but some sort of team activity might be enjoyable. We could always race. Yes, or we could play rounders. Sledging is preferable to rounders if that's the choice. Do we have sleds? I do not believe so. I seem to recall that in the past we used old bits of furniture. We're rather light on spare furniture at the moment. Sorry about that. Maybe rounders would be easier to get going. We've got a ball somewhere. We just need to find a nice thick stick. What about cask lids? For sledging, we have loads of spare barrels in the cellar, surely. Great idea. Bit small though, ain't it? Only one person could ride at a time, but we have plenty of them. We could do races. We could even have teams, I reckon. I'm more partial to rounders thinking on it. The hills are all rather steep. What? Scared? No. I would just prefer something more sporting. It doesn't get much more sporting than racing. How about a vote? How many of you think we should go nick some lids and go sledging? Eustace, Darcy, Flora, Bridget, Violet, Catherine, and Margaret all raised their hands. Oh, crumbs. Well, just for the sake of knowing, who'd prefer rounders? Adela, Margaret, Moira, Catherine raised their hands. Hang on. You two already voted. I'd be happy to do either. Likewise. I didn't realize we could only vote for one or the other. Angela and Marta haven't voted. Or Hedwig. Or you for that matter, Charity. Ho! I think I'll be sitting out and watching either way, thank you very much. As will I. I suppose out of those two activities, rounders would be more appealing. I'd rather not wind up in a wheelbarrow as well. How about you, Hedwig? What is rounders exactly? It's... If she doesn't know what it is, we really should just go get sleds. Teaching someone a whole new game will take a while. Plus, it'd make the teams unbalanced. Yes, if it's complicated, I'd rather not spoil the fun. I vote sledging. I'll change my vote in that case. Very well. I am, as always, gracious in defeat. Would one or two of you like to accompany me to the cellars to collect some lids? Sure, of course. The three of them set off. The rest of us dispersed again, dividing to small groups, sharing wine and grazing on the treats Darcy had brought from the pantry. Angela sidled up to me after collecting some dried fruit, and we stepped away to chat privately. Excuse me. Do you suspect anyone has an inkling? An inkling of what? You know. Oh. I don't think so. Interesting. I was wondering if Catherine had perhaps detected something. Certainly not to my knowledge. I wonder if she will. Perhaps I'll tell her one day. Why would you do that? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps I'm overwhelmed with relief. It has been a while since I've spoken to anyone here as a friend. I have a desire to share intimate things as I used to. Or perhaps I'm drunk. Very possible. You're very beautiful. Ah, thank you. I didn't quite know what to make of her attitude. I would have almost preferred to be at the end of her dagger again as much as I appreciated the compliment. She was being very sweet, but I'm not sure if sweet was what pulled my thread, so to speak. Would you care to recite some of that poetry for me? Later, perhaps. Very well. Would you care to visit my cell later? There's so much time in the day and the night that will be empty for me now. Empty? You mean... There's nothing left for us to investigate. I've told the Superior my theory, and I've presented all my evidence. I leaned closer to make sure nobody could overhear us. The Superior knows about Eustace now. I told her everything I could. Everything that made sense. And you think it would be enough? It will have to be. The bishop seemed pleased with my work for what it's worth. He's preparing to leave soon. I saw him packing. Eustace doesn't suspect anything? Not a thing. In fact, she thinks she successfully bullied me out of investigating her. She made a big show of it last night. And you're playing along? Clever girl. Yes. In that case, it sounds like we'll have much to celebrate soon. And I should very much like to spend more time with you in that cell. You learn so much in there all alone. There's still more you could learn with some company. I could be kept in there until I became an expert. Angela coughed, choking slightly on the piece of fruit she was chewing on. Are you well? Man, it's so weird, like, seeing her switch on and off from that, you know? It just went down the wrong way. She pounded her fist into her chest and coughed again before clearing her throat. After regaining her composure, she reached out to grab my wrist and pulled me close, bringing her knee between my legs. I exhaled sharply and grinned with glee. I have much to reward you for, but even more to punish you for. Shall we enumerate your crimes? When you first ran into me outside the chapel, that very first day you were released, these thoughts never crossed my mind. Now though, that was more like it. We continued teasing each other in hushed tones for a while, until the sisters who had left to collect sleds returned. When they did, the group coalesced once more, awaiting instructions as Moira, Adela, and Margaret handed out the round wooden lids. Took you long enough. It was quite a walk. I had to use the privy, if you must know. Yeah. Right then, should we just climb that little hillock there? She pointed to a defilade behind us. It sloped down to reach the even patch of ground we had all been resting on. I felt a sense of relief. I'd imagined that we would be sliding down the steep mountain down toward the village. That's nothing. It's a fine start. I won't have anyone breaking their necks on my watch, thank you very much. While some thrill seekers grumbled, everyone made their way up the smaller hill. Everyone except Marta, who stood at the bottom looking content to just lean on her walking stick. Have you ever done this, Hedwig? Perhaps once, but I would have been a very small child. Marta and I will keep score. I'll declare the winners from down the hill. Don't blink. Very funny. Don't fall. Catherine looked oddly nostalgic. Right, who first? Me against Hedwig. She pulled me forward. Oh, I don't like this. 2 barrel lids were waiting for us at the lip of the hillock. Eustace knelt down the one in front of her. Like this. I did my best to copy Eustace's pose in my own sled. 3, 2. I began to slide forward. I thought I had nestled myself onto the lid appropriately, but I must have shifted my weight incorrectly. The makeshift sled carried me forward for a yard or so before I lost my balance and completely tumbled head over heels. After a few moments of disorienting, painful rolling, I came to a stop. My legs were sticking straight up in the air and my neck was awkwardly cramped forward. I could feel the ropes had ridden up my legs. I dared not look and see just how far. I scrambled to right myself and cover up as Eustace slid gracefully down the hill next to me. I have to count that Eustace's win, I'm afraid. That's fair. How cold is your bum? Margaret jeered playfully from up the hill. I did my best to wave it off as I clambered back up to get back in line for another go. I was somewhat relieved to discover that falling off the sled was not an uncommon occurrence. I watched Angela roll down the hill, looking most undignified. Moira leaned too far forward and got a face full of snow. Even Eustace, who had bested me so effortlessly before, managed to lose control once. Marta picked her glasses up with the end of her stick, offering them to a white-flecked Eustace, who grinned sheepishly as everybody hooted at her. I tried twice more. On the first go-around, I fell off again, although this time, I had the good sense to roll on my side the rest of the way down. On my third attempt, I managed to smoothly pilot the lid all the way to the bottom, although I was easily bested in the race by Adela. A valiant effort, Sister Hedwig. She pulled me into a sudden embrace and tousled the top of my hood as soon as I stood up. Man, that sounds like fun. It's been a while since I went sledding too. Everyone soon grew tired, myself included. I was surprised at how taxing the whole affair was. Only the youngest were still at it when the rest of us decided it was time to return to the wine and snacks. Flora, Bridget, and Violet continued to race each other up and down the hillock while the older set sat down in small groups again. Hedwig, can you join me further afield? Certainly, Adela. We collected a wineskin and a handful of fruits and nuts each. As the others did the same, Adela pulled me by the hand out of the crowd and dragged me toward a more secluded area behind some trees, away from the edge of the hill. She's so excited to do this, huh? We settled down. Adela looked pleased as anything to get a moment alone with me. We could hear distant voices, but for all intents and purposes, we were alone. I could turn my head to see small shapes in the distance. Darcy and Eustace sitting together once more. Charity and Marta standing and chatting in a blob of black that appeared to be the rest of the nuns catching up with Angela. Further away, the sounds of the young ones sledging continued laughing and shouting. What a beautiful evening. I agree. I preferred this to the Misericorde, I think. Is that because it's outside? What do you mean? Well, you know. You seem to have a passion for the outdoors. I'm not judging you. I respect it. In fact, I might even share your taste. Oh? It was rather hot where I used to live. I spent a lot of time dressed less appropriately than was expected of me. She put her hand on my knee and smiled wildly. I smiled back, unsure of what to say. Would you indulge me? The lesbian quality of it all no longer bothered me. Perhaps it should have. I thought back to all the brushes with the women here I had allowed while feigning interest. Darcy's kiss had rattled me once upon a time. That felt long ago now. I had started looking at everyone's faces differently and their bodies differently. I wondered what their breasts looked like, how the fat on their stomachs rolled, how their thighs might deform in different seated positions, how they might keep the hair under their hoods and beneath their skirts. In between my escapades, I had begun to search through scripture for some idea of what to do, or at the very least, what rules I was breaking. I felt a dark curiosity. Even now, I can't think about this and feel a sick sense of pleasure. It felt like a stroke of luck that the Bible itself says nothing about carnal relationships between women. It doesn't consider that a possibility at all, and I think that is because it shouldn't be a possibility. It is a new unthinkable territory that lesser beings have dredged out of the dark depths. Women are the lesser workmen, as Aquinas said, and yet here I was. I was pretending no longer. When in absence of material to prepare for the skilled man, these women had invented a new way to pass the time. It was alien, and something felt sinful about it, even if I could not identify what laws were being trespassed, and my suspicions would bear out. But in that moment, all I could say was, perhaps. I drummed my fingers against my thigh. Adela wasted no time gliding forward elegantly and pressing her lips against mine. My breath halted, and I think I made another ghastly sound in my throat. Adela's hand clasped the back of my head, daring me to break apart. She was not going to be my first, but nonetheless, I felt the exciting rush that came with stepping into the unknown. This rendezvous was under no false pretenses. Angela and I's frustration with the investigation had forced us together, and my dalliance with Catherine started under the pretense of spying on her. But now I was free to pursue and be pursued by whomever I liked, wherever I liked as well. She pressed forward and firmly planted her hands on my shoulders to command me to the ground. The back of my head collided with the earth, and I was briefly reminded of the crack on the head I had suffered while rescuing Flora. These dark feelings intermingled with the pleasant surprise of another kiss, even if it still made me close my eyes involuntarily. Oh, wow. She pulled away from the kiss and juked backward, taking the hem of my robe in both of her hands and hiking it up around my waist with the skill and confidence of a trained artisan. Still, I said nothing. I was too taken with the sensations of hot and cold touching each of my exposed thigh. The cold air made me jolt my hips forward, and Angela laughed. Adela, not Angela. My thighs climbed back together instinctively as I yelped. With a laugh, she shushed me. I held my hands over my mouth as she yanked my legs apart again and dove between them. It was dizzying, it was overwhelming, and it was everything I had ever wanted. I would have lived happily in that moment forever until it was time to meet the next sister to share the next moment over and over for eternity awash in pleasure. What is happening over here? Is that a trick question, Sister Angela? I'm not sure why, but after an initial jolt of embarrassment, I relaxed. Part of me assumed perhaps that Angela might be excited to find me in this compromising position. This was how we lived here, was it not? I laid there, splayed open and breathing heavily. I grinned at Angela sheepishly, salacious thoughts racing through my mind on their way to my doppelganger. Would she approve? Perhaps she'd like to join in. We could call even more people over for all I cared. Uh-oh. It turns out Adela shares my taste for fresh air. What is wrong with you, the both of you? I was just winning the bet. She had been trying to stand up, a wide grin on her face, but Angela put her foot down on her chest to keep her pinned to the ground. You have won nothing, Andalusian slut. Do you hear this woman, Hedwig? She just wanted to win a game. That's all you were to her. How could you fall for her charms? I fell for nothing. I don't understand what the problem is. The problem is that they don't love you the way I could. The problem is that to them, you're nothing but a quib. And a tongue. I should have known you would not last a day after making up with everyone. She struggled against Angela's shoe for a moment, finally overpowering her and bolting to her feet. Angela nearly tumbled to the ground, but managed to compose herself. I got to my feet as well, hurt and panicking. I felt as if the gates of heaven were closing shut in front of me. I was being quite earnest when I made nice earlier. I just didn't expect to find Hedwig spreading her legs for somebody else quite so soon. But Catherine, you had expressed permission for that. Somebody else? You mean... That's right, Sister Adela. I spoiled your little stupid game. You're taking that far too seriously, Angela. Hedwig, I promise that it was nothing so crass or cruel as Angela is making it out to be. You all planned this for months. By God, dear departed Catherine was the first to suggest it. We fuck each other, Angela. There was no trickery, no deception. You're mistaking idle gossip for a grand conspiracy. I am mistaking nothing. And even if we are to judge by your rules, I won. Not by lying to her or trying to trap her. Hedwig and I share something that comes from within. Something ineffable and spontaneous. It happened naturally. You are a complete madwoman. You are wholly animated by lust. And I shall deal with you in time. But for now, know this. I care about Sister Hedwig's well-being. We all care about each other, Angela. Oh, come on now. Please. This is exactly what happened between you and Catherine, is it not? Irrelevant. Don't you dare bring her up again. My God, I thought that I could finally put all this unpleasantness behind us. But I see now that trying to live and learn is a waste of time and effort. I should... Stop! The pair of them turned to look at me in surprise. I don't want to be fought over. You say they have been treating me like a piece of meat, Angela, but this is the first time I've ever truly felt that way. You don't feel betrayed? You don't feel sickened by these women and their nasty little game? I don't care. Perhaps I felt uneasy about it before, but after laying with you, I thought I could get used to this. If this is what life has to offer, then I'll gladly accept it. It's just how friendship works here. Friendship? That satisfies you? Of course it does. Why would it not? I could hear a commotion brewing in the distance as Angela looked deep into my eyes, clearly wounded by something I had said. Had others overheard us? Whore! Angela bellowed at the top of her lungs, tears flying out of her eyes as she spun around and stormed away. Because Angela cared about her deeply. And because Hedwig doesn't understand relationships like this because she was always stuck in that cellar of hers. She never had the chance to really experience it, you know? This is her first time experiencing, I guess... her sexuality. So I can understand where Angela's coming from, but at the same time, I understand Hedwig as well. She never experienced this before. She's having fun for the first time. Adela approached me, her arms open to embrace me in apology, but I pushed past her. She chased after me as I hastily tried to reach Angela. Angela, however, had broken into a sprint. Something had happened up ahead and I could hear panicked voices and screams. We all caught up to the others at the edge of the hill. Moira was beside herself and Charity was wailing at the top of her lungs as Marta attempted to comfort her. Flora! Finally, I saw what everyone was looking at so helplessly. A deep divot in the snow ran down the sharp slope of the hill. In the distance, I could just barely make out a shape moving toward the village at a sickening speed. Oh God. What happened? They just marched right up the hill and went. They did this on purpose? Perhaps they'll be alright. We have to do something. There's nothing we can do until they stop. Small shapes disappeared into the distance. We all held our breath. There wasn't a sound until, finally, we could hear the pained howl from far away. Everyone winced. Charity broke down to sobs once again. We should search for them. Right away. It's getting dark. We'd have to double back and get torches first. It would be hard to even know where to look. Hopefully we'll be able to hear them. It's a horrible thing to say, but if we can follow screams or wails, we'll at least know where they're alive. That is a horrible thing to say. She inhaled deeply, attempting to compose herself. Then still, tears streaked, she began to give orders. Right then. Eustace, Moira, Margaret, Adela, I want you to grab those torches and get a move on down the hill. Hedwig, Catherine, Angela, Darcy. I want you lot to go to bed and save up your strength. One of you should inform the superior first, I suppose. But I want you all well rested. If the first group can't find them, then we can rotate in shifts. Is everyone clear? Catherine and Adela looked ready to protest, but each thought better of it. Everyone sprang into action wordlessly. We all jogged as fast as we could back to the Abbey with grim determination. Adela stayed as far away from Angela as possible. I too attempted to keep some distance from both of them, but that proved difficult. The group naturally spread apart as Charity and Marta moved the slowest. The forward group, led by Eustace, sprinted ahead to collect torches. Angela, Adela, and I were left together after all, along with Darcy. As we passed through the men's camp, Angela hissed in my ear like a serpent. What about these blackguards, hmm? Perhaps we should let them know you'll let anyone bend you over. Enough! Once we arrived inside the cloister proper, Angela turned around and spoke imperiously. I'll notify the superior. The rest of you go to bed. We should talk about this. There's nothing to talk about until Flora is found safe. We nearly lost her once already. She cannot have gone far. Expertly observed. But any luck, the others will find her. But I am not willing to take that for granted. Bed. Now. Everyone nodded solemnly. Angela. What? Never mind. I can only hope that the morning brings good news. I'm certain it will. We all marched upstairs to the dorms. There was no escaping the air of dread and hostility. Catherine wordlessly walked into her room and slammed the door shut. Darcy was left looking bewildered. What's going on? It's nothing, Darcy. A personal matter. That much I can tell. I'm not that thick. Well, Angela is upset with me because... Darcy's brow furrowed. You can tell me. I don't know what to say. I'm worried about Flora and Bridget and Violet, and I haven't got the slightest idea of how to approach this more personal problem. Is this because I did not tell you what I saw in the village? What? No. Had I offended Darcy? I couldn't think of anything I'd done, because I'll tell you if you must know. No, Darcy, They were dancing, Hedwig. Laughing and dancing. And the ones that were not dancing were dead or dying. Like the farmer. How strange. I did not know what else I could say. This was bewildering revelation, and my mind was elsewhere. Yes. How strange. Well, is this because I kissed you? What? Do you not trust me as much as I trust you because I kissed you in the accident? No, Darcy. I've forgotten all about that. I see. Is it anything? If she expected me to say more, I simply couldn't. Stupidly, I reached for an answer beyond no. Anything to get out of this conversation, I thought to myself. A while ago, you said this abbey didn't keep goats, but I found one the other day. A dead one, not far from where I claimed to have seen one butchered in the hall. Where did it come from? Were you lying? You became a different person these past few days. Did you know that? After a moment, she left for her dorm. She closed her door gently. Alright, see, that makes no sense. You want her to open up, she opens up, and then you go into your room. telling her that she's different. Feeling utterly defeated, I entered my own room. I fell into bed, my mind burning. For 2, perhaps 3 hours, I experienced total bliss. I had chosen a path that made everyone happy, or so I thought. But it had fallen apart incredibly quickly, and now Flora was missing again. I'd arrived right back where I had started. I was too hollowed out to cry. I just stared at the ceiling until sleep came.